Marvel is back with the new movie, and it is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. It was funny, and it had the same amount of heart that the first one did. I don't know if why I would like this over the original, or why I would like the original over this one. Just because they felt very similar because of the character dynamics, and that's a good thing. Whenever a sequel doesn't take a step down, it kind of just stays in the same level playing field, because it's a risk. Whenever you make a sequel to a movie, it's a big risk, because you either suffer from oversaturating your characters, or kind of loving too many characters and showing too much of them, which this movie does slightly, but I don't think that it took away from the main plot at all. Which the main plot of this movie I enjoyed a lot more than the first one, because this movie felt more like a mystery. It was good because there was a background menace and threat that we were unsure of, and that was in fact Ego, Pratt, Peter Quill's father, and it was this is good. He's found his father and everything, but there's some underlying issue. There's an underlying plot line going on that we're not showed to at the very beginning, and we're not showed to at the very end. It's supposed to be a little twist at the end, and I really enjoyed that, because it kind of reminds me of a Star Trek adventure. Whenever you're exploring a new planet and you get lost in it, and eventually the main hero has to overcome the temptations of the planet. I can't remember what episode it was. I've seen this episode of Star Trek, and it's pretty good, but I can't remember what it is. But Peter Quill kind of just, whenever he's brought into the planet, Ego's planet, his father's planet, which I don't think that's a spoiler because we saw in the trailer, but whenever he's brought into that planet, he was a little speculative first. He was these things here are weird, they're a little different. And eventually he gets won over by his father, and all the bonding and underlining tones of father and son are there. And it's really, really kind of sweet at first whenever you get to see these two work, play off each other. Because, Kurt Russell's awesome. And I thought that he was a pretty good villain. And the thing is, he wasn't really a villain until the last 15 minutes of the movie. But for him, not 15 minutes, probably last 30 minutes, not 15. But he was he was so funny. He was funny. He was very manipulative. He was able to win over his son pretty easily. He strung at his heartstrings. He was very just sneaky. He was a sneaky bad guy, and he at the same time, he's a planet. And the plot line with him and Peter's mother was just very, very heavy. And I thought that they handled it. James Gunn handled it pretty well. Let's talk about the underlining plots of the cast, Yondu and Rocket Raccoon. Man, that was kind of a heavy hitter too. Yondu's storyline the entire movie. I won't go into spoilers about this. Actually, screw it. All right, spoilers. But the whole plot line with Yondu and Rocket Raccoon was kind of cool, because at the very beginning we were introduced to Rocket, kind of the early stages of that plot line. It coincides with Yondu's plot line, just the feeling of being a big jerk to everybody and not really letting anybody else feel what they feel. And the fact that these two found each other was just really sweet. I guess, because it's not a very common thing when you and a raccoon have something in common, but Yondu and Rocket had that with them, and I enjoyed that plot line as well, especially with Yondu's demise at the very end of it. It was very sweet. Send off to his character. I like Michael Rooker, so it's fantastic all the way through. I really enjoyed the plot line between those two. Baby Groot was funny, and I enjoyed it. And just the very small things, those eyes, those big eyes that just are so cute to many people. Whenever he was figuring out the bomb, he looked at Rocket Raccoon with those big eyes, and it was just oh my gosh, this thing is cute. But he kind of didn't have much to do other than, he had a lot to do, but in terms of character, progression, there wasn't really much with Groot. I want to talk a little bit about Dave Bautista's character Drax, and the dynamic between him and Mantis, played by, I'm going to butcher the last name, Pom Klementieff. I hope I pronounced that right. Probably not. But Mantis and Drax, I just enjoyed that comedy dynamic from the very first time they met. At the very end, whenever he calls her beautiful from the inside, It was just hilarious. I just enjoy Dave Bautista's delivery of his lines in this movie even more than the first one. I think he's becoming very much more comfortable with his comedic timing, and as well as acting in general. Because I mean, he was in the last James Bond movie, and I thought he was pretty good in that one. And even in the first Guardians, he was pretty good. And Nebula even had like had her own plot line with her sister Nebula, like Nebula just being the angry sister with the grudge towards her, the one that keeps besting her. And it was a sibling rivalry and a deadly one, but it was something that, you know, was easy to follow, and it gave Gamora purpose a little bit and a plot line throughout the entire movie, along with Nebula. And that's the thing about this movie. It's like there was something for everybody in this movie. There really was, and that's what I really enjoy about these groupings of heroes, because whenever you branch out the main plot line to everybody else's plot line, you know, this is a very much a family coming together despite all the issues within it. You know, like Rocket Raccoon and Chris and Peter Quill have their own issues, and then Nebula and Gamora have their own issues, and Yondu has an issue with basically anybody in the galaxy. And the Sylvester Stallone scenes were pretty good too. But the Sylvester Stallone stuff, I think it was supposed to be a little hint at a possible, like, not spin-off, I guess a spin-off actually, with the original Guardians of the Galaxy. He's Starhawk. I think Starhawk was one of the original members of Guardians of the Galaxy, and so you have all the original Guardians coming back together. And I think it's going to be really cool to see what comes up in the third movie, Volume 3, because, you know, it's coming. I just enjoyed seeing these characters, so I can't wait to see what the third movie brings us. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below about the movie. Let me know what you thought about the characters, the story, the future of the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. What do you think about Yondu's send-off in the movie? I thought that was very sweet. So let me know what you guys think. This has been Joel from Real Talk. Thanks for watching.